Hello, just Jamie here. So this is going to be a tutorial for emulating the Commodore 64. Also emulates the Commodore Plus 4 and the Commodore 128 and a couple of other Commodore systems of that 8-bit era. So really cool stuff. We're using Vice, and I'm going to show you how to use this, how to set it up, what it does. I'm also going to be showing you where to get the latest games for the Commodore 64. Yes, games are still being made here in 2023, and there really is some amazing games coming out. The homebrew scene is just brilliant, like it has been for the past 20 years. So let's get on with this. So the first thing you need to do is go to the Vice website. And I'll leave the link in the description for this. So first things first, if we just scroll down under the download tab, you're going to find there is under Windows, there's a couple of different types of download. You got GTK 3 and the SDL2. The current version, as we record this video, is Vice 3.7. So I'm going to download both of these, and I'm going to show you the differences, which one might suit you best. So let's check this out. So if we just go for, in my case, a 64-bit edition of the GTK 3 Vice, it takes you to this SourceForge website, and it's going to automatically download. So let's just download both of these packages. So we have our GTK 3 Vice, and if I just go back out of this, I'm now going to download the SDL2. And again, short downloads, just wait a few seconds for this. And of course, I'm wearing my beloved Commodore 64 t-shirt because I'm such a Commodore 64 geek. Okay, so I'm going to just start by extracting both of these packages into separate folders so things don't get confused. So I'm going to make one folder here called SDL2. And I'm going to just drag this compressed file folder into the new SDL2 folder I've just created on desktop. And I'm also going to create a new folder and name it GTK3. So, like I say, both of these emulators, Vice emulators, are very similar, but the way you use them, load up programs, are slightly different. So I'm going to show you the best of both worlds. So let's start with the SDL2 package. So first of all, I'm going to extract this compressed folder. Just going to delete that zip now. So let's open up SDL2, and the first thing you need to be looking for, so if you scroll right down, you're going to notice there's around 9 or 10 black icons. Each one is an application, so this means by clicking on these, this is going to open up the application. So for the purpose of this video, and being a Commodore 64 freak club myself, I'm going to do Commodore 64, and I'm going to just go double left click onto the Times 64 SC application. So double left click, and here we have it. This is your Commodore 64 iconic blue screen. So what this is asking for is, if you look at the top here, it says press F12 for the menu, and this is where this differs from the other package I've just downloaded. So this is one way of running programs, but the other package is going to be slightly different, and to me, if you're new at Commodore 64 emulation, then the other package is likely going to be for you. But nevertheless, let's check this one out. So if I just press F12 here, so we got loads of different options. Don't let this daunt you if you're new to this. Like I said, the other package is going to be a lot easier to navigate than this one. So let's just start with the very basics on this. Let's start an image. Image means a program, a file. A D64 image signifies a disk image for Commodore 64 emulation. So auto start image, and we're presented with this screen. So from here we then got to look where our files are, our game files, our programs, our .d64s. So I'm going to go to choose drive, and I'm going to find which drive my games are on. In my case, we're in drive D. So wherever you've got your C64 games, that's where you're going to need to go to find. So D drive, and if I back out of this by pressing escape, and I'm now going to go into the folder where my C64 games are, I will then find several of my Commodore 64 games. So I'm going to just load up 2000 Kung Fu Maniacs, which is a really cool, almost modern game. And once entering into this, I've then got the D64 image here at the bottom. So just press enter on this one. And there we have it. So just like a real C64 disk drive of 1541, you'll be presented with this type of screen. So if you look to your right, you're going to have PRG, which means program. So this disk contains a few games, and I'm going to just pick one of them. So if I just scroll down using my cursor keys, I'm going to select S Tau, and I'm going to press enter on this one. And there you have it. So this is how you load games using this version of Vice. So a little bit confusing for newbies. As you can see, this is a fairly new Cytronic game. If you're not aware of Cytronic, they've been around since the early 90s. Their first release was pretty much Scepter of Baghdad, and they've been around ever since. Shout out to Ken's, who publishes games with Cytronic, who are a legend to the community. So just press space on this. And of course, there's ways to speed this up if you don't like traditional loading times. So infinite lives for all players. I'm going to just put no, I don't like cheaters or cheating. All players, no. And if you want other options for this, once this game is running, as you're aware, if you press F12, you'll get the menu pop back up. So let's press F12. Now you'll get loads of different settings. So despite just loading games, this system, this package, is going to allow you to do lots of other things, even print things. So say you've written a program in BASIC or assembly, it will let you print off your work. So that's a really cool feature with this emulator, is that it's got a lot of advantages over just merely playing games. So we can go to video settings, we can go to size settings, and this will give us a multitude of different resolution options. So you can play around on those, make your screen full, do this, do that, just press escape to come out of this one. So this system even caters for different types of models around the world of the Commodore 64. So if we just go to machine settings, you can see this yourself under model settings. So perhaps you want to emulate a PAL region Commodore 64C. You've got different options to change this type of thing. You've got breadbin system, NTSC systems, Japanese systems, even caters for the failed Commodore 64 GS here. I'm sure some people around might want to try that one, but I don't. You've even got the Commodore 64 SX, which was the world's first portable Commodore computer, regarded as a laptop in its time, regardless of its size and weight. So like I was saying just now, if you don't fancy waiting around for loading times, especially on tapes, if you're emulating tape images, just go to speed settings and you can change the CPU speed, and that will just boost up very slow loading times in some cases, which old microcomputers are known for. So that's about it for this version of Vice. If you just play around the settings, you'll find different sound settings which will give you options to change the SID chip. There's a couple of different variations of the SID chip, but if you're really geeky and nerdy like myself and you like to hear different types of SID sounds, then go ahead and change frequencies and PAL and NTSC and so on and so forth. Lots of options there. So let's just back out of this, and I'm now going to show you the other version of Vice. So if I just extract this one, I'm going to go to WinRAR and extract. So in this case, under the GTK3, to open up the program, if we just go to bin, just scroll down and you've got the same options pretty much as the other version of Vice. So I'm going to go on to Time64 SC. Now instantly you'll realise and notice this one is slightly different to the layout of the other version of Vice. Personally, if you're new to this, then I would happily suggest you start with this one. There's no longer pressing F12 to get into those odd looking menus. So let's load up the same game again using this version of Vice. So if we go to File, just go down to Attach Disk Image, and we'll select Drive 8, which is the common drive number for Commodore 64 drives of that time. Left click on that, and from here we can just go to where our disk image is located. And I'm going to just select the same game, 2000 Kung Fu Maniacs, double left click on it, and I am then going to press Auto Start, which is located in the bottom right, and this will automatically load the game for you. So I'm also going to show you how to set up your controller, joystick or USB controller, whatever, in this. So if we just go down to joysticks here, or yeah, joysticks, just left click on that. And if we go to configure joystick, if you go to joystick 1 and select your controller, in my case I'm using a PS3 controller as always, it's actually listed as the Xbox 360 controller. Select this one, close, and I'm now moving my D-pad on my controller, and if you look at where joysticks is now, you can see it's recognised. Now for those who knows the Commodore 64, most games, I'd probably say 98 to 99% of Commodore 64 games was largely controlled in port 2 of the computer itself. So if I press fire on this game or the D-pad, it won't work. So in this case we need to swap ports. So watch how I do this. So left click here and swap joysticks. This is now swapped to the second one. And as you can see, I can now control and press my fire button, which is X button on this controller. So just wait for this to load up, and whilst we're waiting for this to load up, by far, if you can grab .cr2 images, which is cartridge images, those games are actually instant loaders. Discs are pretty slow this day and age, or they appear to be very slow. Tapes, cassette tape images are ridiculously slow, but you can grab yourself a lot of .crt images, which people in the Commodore community has transferred from disc or tape onto cartridge, which makes them a lot quicker. However, if you like the traditional loading times, you can even speed this up. If you just left click here on the 100% CPU, if we go to warp mode, it'll fast things up. And there we go. So once your game is loaded using the warp speed, just left click on it again, cancel the warp mode, and there we go. And we got another loading screen again, but that's a part of the nostalgia. It's loading screens and it's these seizure little icons and flashes that we love so much. So like I said, I don't like cheating. And there we go, looks like we're in. So right now I'm using my PS3 controller to play a Commodore 64 game. So there we go. I think I briefly played this game on its release. would buy, and I still play lots of new Commodore 64 games. I'm pretty sure this one was created by, can't think of the person's name, Richard Bayliss. If I'm wrong, comment and tell me who made this one. But I'm pretty sure also this was created using a shoot 'em up destruction set or something, Gary Kitchen's Game Maker possibly. But anyway, let's take a look at more of the options in this version of Vice, and I think a lot of people out there would agree this was probably the preferred version people would likely go for because of its more simple approach to loading things. So if we go to File, you've got lots of different options here. Like I was just saying, you can attach cartridge images, which are .crts, or tap files, which are cassette tape files. If we go to Preferences, you can also obviously get the full screen. So if I just left click on full screen, there you go. And everything is still operationable, everything's working fine. So to exit that full screen, I just double left click with my cursor, and that's just made it back to normal again. And if we go back up to Preferences, you've got lots of different options here, such as Settings, and from Settings we can change models of the Commodore system, just like the other edition of Vice. But this one, in all fairness, does seem or appear to be laid out a lot better. So now we've understood how these systems work, these emulators, Vice emulators work, let's check out where we can get the best games. So a website I've been using for many years now, which is a very, very active website, is CSDB. So CSDB, as it says, is the Commodore 64 scene database. So you get a lot of cracks in here, you get new games. Some games won't let you download because they're commercial and they're for sale. So if we just go to latest releases, and if we take a look at this list, we got crack, we got game, music, graphics. So each one of these is a separate type of program. A crack is literally someone who's cracked the game to enter it, to distribute it. A game is, as it says, a game. A music is just music files, people creating Commodore music using its SID chip. Graphics is almost like demos, where you get these really cool demos which Commodore 64 fans enjoy making to show the capabilities and push the hardware to the max. And we've also got a Super CPU release game just here, which is Stunt Car Racer. Super CPU was a piece of hardware not inside the commercial Commodore 64's life, but an afterthought of how to power up the Commodore 64 to give it better speed times. I've never owned one of those, they're too expensive, but you can also emulate the Super CPU on Vice, but that's another tutorial. So tell you what, I'm going to just go to the top here and I'm going to put in one of the latest games, which is Polar Bear in Space. So once that's searched, we just download Polar Bear in Space. It will have all these weird numbers on and plus signs. That's cheats, that type of thing, and different bits and pieces. So the numbers is nothing to be concerned about. So just go on to here, and if I go to download, just left click. And like I was saying just now, this is a disk image, which is a D64. So if I just drag this image onto the desktop, if I go back into GTK3, go back into bin and open up Vice once more, and of course times 64 SC, I'm now going to load the game I just downloaded, Polar Bear in Space, which I'm not too experienced with. I briefly played it when it came out. So I'm going to go to attach a disk image again, drive 8, and if I go to desktop, because that game's located on my desktop this time, just highlight Polar Bear in Space. So if you want to get more technical and more old school with this emulator, we just attach the disk image. If you want to get really old school with this, you could even type in your own commands to make the emulator think it's reading from a disk drive. So if I just type in load quotation mark asterisk quotation mark comma 8, comma 1, and press enter. It's then going to search for the disk contents, just like the real system would have done back in the day. So again, if you don't like waiting all this time, if you just go to warp, that will speed things up. And then we can close warp, and it's saying ready, it's ran it. So our next task then, if you remember all this from back in the day, if we just type in run now, there you go. So you've just loaded a disk in the old conventional way, and there you go. This is a new Commodore 64 game using the CSDB website, and I just need to configure my controller again. Every time you close it down, you're going to need to do this. So if we just go on joysticks, if we just go onto joysticks, left click, configure, and I'm going to go to joystick number 2 this time. It's guaranteed this game will be port 2. So there we go, and our joypad is now working, and actually there you go. And because this is a cracked game, we got all these options, which was the numbers I was just telling you about. So I'm going to just go through no on all of these. So let's just play about a minute of this one, just because I can. So if we go to preferences, full screen, and it's asking us for different modes of this game. So I'm going to go to regular mode. So yeah, fairly new to this game, but looks like another game I played before, and I can't think which one. Is it Mutant Camels? Revenge of the Mutant Camels? I think I had it on a Commodore Power Pack cassette tape in the early 90s. So no idea what this game is about, and if you want to buy the physical copy of this, you can do so on the Cytronic website, and I'll leave the link in the description. So anyway, that's downloading a game, and as you can see, for a second time loading a game. So if I just double left click out of this and close this down, I'm also going to show you another really cool website to grab some of the latest Commodore 64 games. Some of them are commercials, they've got to pay. Other ones are free to Commodore fans and people want to try games out. So if I just go to itch.io, you can refine things here. So if we just search for Commodore 64, I'm going to just put in already there, Commodore 64, and search. You'll find a fairly good amount of new games here for the machine, for either emulation, or you can even copy these images onto real disk if you have got any. So a game like Goshawk just here, like I was saying, is $2.99, whereas other games are absolutely free. So a lot of these will have .crt images, which, like I was saying a minute ago, is cartridge images, and they are by far your fast loaders. Let's just go on to Old Tower here. I'm pretty sure this is a free game. So there we go, we got two versions of this particular one, and that's another file format for Commodore Emulation is .program. .programs are very similar to .crts, which are very quick loaders, but nevertheless, let's just pretend the .program is a .crt image, because like I say, they are very similar. So just download now. No thanks, just take me to the downloads. So I'm going to download two of this game. I'm going to download the .prg and the .tap to show you how to load both. So if I just go to download, can harm your computer, it's fine. itch.io is a very trustworthy site. And I'm also going to download the .tap, which is, like I said, the cassette tape format. I'm going to just drag these onto my desktop for easy access. So start with the PRG and start with the .tap. And if I go back into the GTK3 Vice once more, remember it's under bin, and if I just go back down to the bottom and select the Time64 SC, this time to load a program we are going to go to Smart Attach again, and if I go to the desktop where that game is located and search for this game I've just downloaded at the bottom there, ot64.prg, and press warp. And sometimes you're glad to type in run. If it just leaves you with a cursor flashing, just type in run. And there we go. So unwarp it. And obviously this, if you was waiting for it to load, would have loaded up a lot quicker than the .c64 image I just had on. So of course, once more time, we need to configure the controllers. And you can save your settings if you go under File, so you don't have to do this every time. So configure joysticks. This time I'm going to go to joystick 1, find my controller, close. And like I said just now, most Commodore games are for some reason in port 2, so if I just go to swap joysticks, and there we have it. So let's check this one out a minute, see if this is any good. Again, pretty sure this is a Mojo Twins game. Mojo Twins are very well known in the scene. And yeah, it does look like a Mojo Twins game. So quite a fun game actually. I think I might play this one later. So the idea of this even to be collect all the coins and then enter in this box, which then warps you to a new level. Anyway, that's a .program. So double left click out of this. This time I'm going to go to File and I'm going to go to Reset in Hard Reset, so I don't need to close it down and open the application back up. So this time I'm going to show you how to load a .tap, which is a cassette tape file. So File, and once this is attached, all you're going to do is press load, or type in load rather, to load the cassette image, and 2 quotation marks, and we then press enter, and just like the real machine, it's asking us to press play on tape. So it then asks us to press play on tape, so you find the appropriate button which corresponds to the play button, and you can find that under your settings, under which key on your keyboard does what. And that's it, you got your cassette tape playing. And bear in mind, cassette tapes take a very long time to load up. So I think that's about it for now. If you've got any questions on other differences between the SDL2 and the GTK3 Vice emulators, feel free to ask in the comments. And I've got lots of other tutorials on emulation. Like you can see, the Vice Commodore 64 emulators go into serious depth. So to cover everything at this point, it's going to take hours. Literally, you could do a hell of a lot with Vice. So thanks for watching and take care.